Hi, my name is Pat Martin, and this is a demo of Dex the Data Explorer. And in this demo, what we're going to do is we're going to select the CSV component. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move the mouse over into this pane over here, which is called the palette pane. And over here we have the workflow pane. So first thing I'm going to do is select a task or component from the palette. And when I select import CSV, we can see that the help window pops over here to the rightmost pane, which is the output pane. So what I'm going to do, and this is pretty useful for getting help on components which you may be unfamiliar with. So next I'm going to drag it over to the workflow pane, and I'm going to select the component, and then we see the configuration for that particular component in the workflow pop up. So first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to browse over for a file that I have here called gc.csv, and I can just double click that, and then I'm going to scroll down a little bit, and I'm going to select another task called view data, pull it over here to the workflow pane, select it, and you can see that it's telling us that there's no columns in the table. So that's because we haven't executed the flow yet, but when we do, what's going to happen is the import CSV component is going to read that gc.csv file, and it's going to feed that data into the view data component, which is essentially going to just show us the data without doing anything to it. So I click execute, and then we can see the data, and it's in a tabular format. We can resize the columns to something that looks a little more reasonable, but essentially everything looks pretty good here. So I'm going to move on to the next and more exciting step of actually visualizing the data. So I'm going to pull the XY chart component over to the flow, and a little bit of a bug here, but these things aren't laid out exactly right, so we got to resize that a little bit. And I'm going to select the line chart, and we have no data here because we haven't executed the flow, and this guy hasn't seen the data yet. So I'm going to hit execute, and then over here we can see the candidate X series, timestamp, yada yada yada. And over here we got the candidate Y series. So I'm going to select timestamp as the x-axis, and I'm going to select S0C, and then I'm going to scroll down here a little bit to something called PU, and that stands for perm utilization, but that's not really important for this demo. But I'm going to hit shift and click the left mouse button, and what's going to happen is it's going to select everything from my first entry through the one I did the shift click on. So one thing we notice here is that first of all, what stands out is it did not do a very good job of selecting the axes. We're going to fix that in a minute. But another thing that's pretty useful is that we can just mouse over a specific point, and then it'll give you exactly what series you're looking at, as well as what the XY values of that are. So that's one good reason to have points turned on, but in some cases the points get in the way, so you can turn them off if you choose. So next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to go to the X configuration. I'm going to set the X boundary to 1500, and I'm going to turn auto ranging off, and I'm going to add a title to the x-axis. So that's time, so I'll just call it time in seconds. And when I hit return, it snaps the graph into the manual bounds that I've set here. And next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to be consistent, so I'll just add a y-axis title of memory and KB, and then maybe add an overall chart title of GC behavior, and maybe toggle the points on and off. And then if I want to, I can move this stuff out of the way and look at this in more detail. But generally, I like to keep it a little balanced here. And I'm going to save the project, and we'll just call it, can't see that, learning how to use this screencasting software as I go. But let me resize that so you guys can see everything that's going on here. So we'll just call this gc dex demo.dex, or don't really have to give the .dex suffix, it'll add that automatically. And then later on, what's really nice is that we can create a new project, and we can go back and we can open the project and then double click that, and we see that pretty much everything is like we left it. So we can just re-execute and pick up where we left off last time. Anyway, that's about it for the first demo, and hopefully there's going to be a bunch more to come. We'll see. Thanks a lot.